Welcome back to the Makers of MidCity podcast. Today I have the opportunity to sit down with Lindsey, the Executive Director of the MidCity District. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Clark.
Yeah, I'm excited. So before we start diving into a little bit about the market and some of the other events, I want to start at the very beginning because you've been a part of RCP Companies, the developer behind MidCity District, since the camp kind of first got off the ground. Talk a little bit about kind of your introduction into all this and kind of your journey.
Yeah. So I'm born and raised in Huntsville and absolutely love my hometown. Moved away for a while for university in Auburn and Alabama, and then lived in Houston, Texas for about 10 years. And I came back home for a wedding. Very impressed with the development and the interesting things happening in Home Sweet Home. One of those things that piqued my attention was Whole Foods coming in. I was like, okay, Huntsville's growing up.
Yeah,
yes,
here we
go. So, and during that time in my life, I was finishing up a master's in business in Houston and looking for another opportunity, and had been working in the event business for the entire duration of me being in Houston, from founding event venues to consulting with event venues to getting event venues off the ground, marketing event venues, full venue coordination, running a 40-acre ranch that had 3 different event spaces, and we had almost 300 weddings a year at these event spaces. And after finishing the MBA, I said I would like to get more into community development and building cities and building properties and curating even bigger than just within the 4 walls of an event space.
Yeah.
So that was about the time that I came home and said, wow, I would love to be a part of growing and making Huntsville even bigger and better than it already is. And that was in 2017. And a few emails later, and finished my MBA, walked across the stage and celebrated that. And then in June of 2017 was connected and hired and began with RCP Companies. And RCP is responsible for a lot of development in town, and MidCity being the biggest project of them all. And so this MidCity took a lot of my time and a lot of my energy, and we were just... The state of the camp was a flat red Alabama dirt. There was no pole coming out of the ground. There was no power. There was nothing. It was a nothing burger. And they were like, oh yeah, we're hosting a music festival here in 8 weeks. You have event experience. If you can help make that happen.
Make this happen.
Yeah. I said, all right, let's go.
And that was 2017 at the time.
That was 2017, yeah. So nothing was open at MidCity. Topgolf was under construction. The camp, like I said, was just red dirt. And the goal was to get the camp off the ground so that we could start telling the story of MidCity, because MidCity didn't have a story to tell yet. We were too new. We were a mall that had been demolished. And the camp was going to be our living room, our dining room, our beacon, our front yard, our hangout spot. And I have an interior design degree, so I'm very passionate about spaces and places, and of course with my event background. And with the help of our team, and Nadia came in from Chicago, another hometown gal, and we all rallied and made this event, this music festival happen, called Fireside Music Festival. It rained 3.5 of the 4 days. It was the most hilarious and awesome chaos that I've ever been a part of.
Wow.
And but unless you have a date like that on the calendar, you keep kicking the can down the street. So we made it happen, and we had a place. We had a place, so that solidified the place, and we were thrilled about that. So that was the beginning of the camp.
Wow.
That was August of 2017 when that Fireside Music Festival happened, and the camp just came and continued to grow and evolve into what it is today. And here we are in 2024, activating and innovating and gathering. And something that I was very proud of is, a couple had met at the camp, had their first date at the camp, got engaged at the camp, and then proceeded to get married at the camp.
Wow.
So the heart that the camp has given to the community, that solidifies that for me.
Yeah.
And then my role evolved. So not just from activating and marketing what MidCity is and the camp is, to now executive director of the whole district. And really,
and the district's grown substantially over the last seven years, really, since the camp. Because, I mean, the camp was that first sort of introduction for the community to say, hey, what's going on at the old mall location? What's happening? And the camp was like, hey, let's get you out here. Let's get you to kind of see what we are seeing and what we're envisioning. What was that a response like? Because I feel like the response from the community, the area was known. I mean, you're a Huntsville native. I'm a Huntsville native. Like, the mall was the thing for a long time. And it had that place in Huntsville history. Still does.
Absolutely.
But now we kind of have MidCity kind of rewriting that history now and kind of engaging and reintroducing the area into this new engaged district. What was that initial response about the camp? And like, were people like, oh, this is what's going on? Or like, kind of what was that like?
Well, the city, before our RCP team came on board, knew that where Madison Square Mall was located needed to be something special. This area, this district, this plot had to be something special and magnetic because of the location and proximity to UAH, to University Drive, our huge retail corridor, to Cummings Research Park, to Redstone Arsenal. Absolutely critical that this place be something magical and something impactful.
Yeah.
So with that, the city said we need to find a developer to make this something where we're headed now. And so RCP and myself have been honored to be a part of growing this and making this something that brings a mall site into where we're headed in the next 20 years, which is catering to lifestyles and diversity and creativity and growing businesses and food and great drink and great music, a community hub, a walkable area. And I have felt, because I have an interior design degree, we have a harder job than most because we're building it out of zero.
Yeah.
We are building it from nothing.
Yeah, ground up.
Yes. So whereas you take, old, beautiful, historic buildings and you kind of work within the framework of those things, we're given a blank canvas.
Yeah, and it says go create.
Go create. And how do you make it warm and welcoming and feel European in scale, yet grand in design? And how do those things come together when you're creating it from zero? So it's been a journey, and the camp has played a huge role in that, in telling the story and being, like I said, our living room and our dining room and our entertainment zone. And now here we are, a third of the way done, 7 years later.
Wow.
And now people are living on site, which still blows my mind that people are committing and making MidCity their home. It's such an honor. Yeah. Such an honor. That is the neatest thing. And small businesses and small business owners taking out loans and foregoing whatever financial freedom they may or may not have had to open their businesses out here and make their dreams come true out here. Such a huge honor for us at MidCity. Yeah. So even though we have a lot of construction happening at MidCity and a lot of activities, we have businesses that are fantastic and that are open today, despite you seeing dirt moving. Yeah. So it's a neat hybrid situation where you can still experience very much MidCity and also see it grow while you're enjoying your croissant at Tout-le-Jour and having your coffee and living on site and hearing a band at Orion. And the camp has continued to tell that story. And the camp, we've continued to double down on the camp's role in telling the story. And of course, that brings us to the farmers market.
Yeah, I mean, 'cause like as the camp's grown and MidCity's grown, like you mentioned earlier, your role has continued to increase.
Yep.
I mean, it's becoming, hey, not let's make this event venue work for the next in 8 weeks for this concert. It's, hey, Lindsey, let's kind of curate, cultivate, and grow a market, which has now become, and a variety of, I mean, you wear multiple different hats. You're constantly taking off one, putting on another one.
That's right.
And kind of just, every morning it's like, what hat do I want to wear today?
It's true.
But the market at MidCity has kind of is helped play a key role in activating the district and kind of in reaching out to the community even beyond just Huntsville, but in really North Alabama.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about how that market came about and kind of the need you were hoping to fill.
Yeah. Well, our team was interested in starting a farmer's market. And a fun tidbit about little Lindsey here, I started a boiled peanut business when I was living in Texas. And I was a farmer's market vendor in Texas when I lived there. I was bringing our Southern Alabama boiled peanuts to Houston.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And people didn't know what that was.
No.
And the people that did were insane fans, huge fans. So I was a farmer's market vendor and a huge fan of farmers markets. I'm obsessed with fresh food, fresh fruit, fresh veggies, local meat. I mean, just to me, the importance of the people that grow and cook, make your food, there's no greater person in your life.
Yeah.
And so it's a very much a heart thing for me, and supporting those farmers, supporting the bakers and growers and purveyors of all local food and great food, and that take careful care of the food that we eat. So it's a no-brainer for me to start something like that.
You were like, of course we have to have a farmer's market.
Yes, let's do it. And with a big endeavor, big living, breathing organism that a farmer's market is, it's a beast.
Yeah, it's huge.
And so it started off small. It started off slow, started off small. You gotta think strategically, think carefully. Think about who you want to be, how you want to be it. We started with like 10 vendors.
Wow. And what year did it?
2019.
2019 was
the first
year.
season.
Okay.
Yes, we started in March of 2019. We were averaging about 10 vendors. I was able to rally a few folks from different markets and just kind of get the word out through MidCity's page and the camp's page. Called a few friends, I called farmers that I already followed and knew, and started around 10 vendors.
Wow.
It was slow for the vendors. It was quiet.
I mean, MidCity itself was a pretty quiet district at the time.
It was.
I mean, at 2019, the Orion wasn't here. Topgolf was here. There really wasn't. Trader Joe's, I guess, was probably under construction.
Still a Figment.
I mean, so, getting people down to this area was still not necessarily. It wasn't necessarily the easiest thing.
Correct.
You had to kind of pool on people, and the market was on Sunday.
Yep.
So it's kind of like most people maybe are getting ready to stay at home and reset for the next week, and you're wanting them to come out and shop outdoors at the camp at this market. And so 10 vendors show up. The first season is it a hit? Was it success after that first season? Like now we're going to have 30 vendors, 40 vendors, or what did that look like?
It increased by about 10 to 15%. I'd say maybe even 20% each year.
Okay.
We were able to recruit a little bit more each year with the word of mouth, with the success from both patrons and farmers. So slow growth, and just perfecting the art. I've always been, since my career is based on just executing great events and being an event pro.
Yeah.
So I had that element down of making sure that the vendors felt informed and like their business was in good hands when they came out. So that was obviously a massive part when people take their Sunday to come by and vend. But the other element was the patrons, and we were starting to grow. MidCity was really starting to get on people's map because the mall went down and Topgolf opening and people's curiosity with the camp. But even my friends think that thought that it was too far or not developed enough, or that they weren't quite sure what it was, or confusion. To me is one of the worst things, because if you're confused about where you're headed or what you're doing, you're basically uninterested or not engaged. So it was trying to get through confusion and clarity and what MidCity is and what the market is, and then but it worked.
Yeah,
and
it clicked.
It clicked a little bit more each year, just a little bit more each year, and that's all we really needed. We needed growth. Yeah. We needed farmers to start believing in us. We need patrons to start believing in us, and they did. And
and I think steady growth too allows you to kind of fine tune the experience.
Yep.
And the experience, like you said, not only for, and I think it would be easier to, I think from the outside, the perspective of the patron's experience is probably what most people think about. But that farmer's market, the person that's setting up the stand, the person that's taking their time out of their day to load up their car, load up the coolers, that experience has to be, they need to be at their best and have the best enjoyment too, because that rolls into the experience of the patron.
100%.
And I've been able to see that over the years with the market and continued growth of MidCity, because there is still some confusion when people talk about MidCity. I mean, MidCity is one of those things, you see cranes, you see you see people working on new construction all the time that you think, I'm just going to wait till that's finished before I go out there and enjoy it. But in reality, like you mentioned earlier, there's so much happening and there's so much engagement, and there's people living here and working here and shopping here. I mean, it's more than just, hey, let's wait till this is done. It's let's be a part of this now.
I couldn't agree more.
And so, I mean, it's, but the market is not, the market's a huge endeavor. I mean, it's months and months of curating the vendors, marketing the event, bringing in live music, having food, but it's not the only thing you do at the camp. It's not the only thing your role is not just defined by the market at MidCity. You do a bunch of other things. How do you kind of go about navigating these events and finding different ways to engage and activate the district when the market is a heavy lift?
Well, great help. We really have great market assistant managers that help me on site every single Sunday. And we're in a groove now. Something most people don't know, we've had over 2,000 people apply to be a part of the farmers market since 2019. So a big part of that role is combing through. And I see every single inquiry that comes in. And I say if they're a good fit, if they're maybe a good fit for next year, maybe a good fit for the summertime. So that's a huge element. And then coordinating the schedules of 80 vendors and making sure that I know that Taste and Time baklava is coming this week and not next week. And but with organizing weddings and events, and I mean, there's nothing more detailed than a wedding, in my opinion. So this luckily it's comes fairly easy to me to make sure things stay organized and the vendors feel supported. I don't like that a farmer's market would be a novelty thing. I want people to come in and actively purchase their groceries at the farmer's market and the gifts that they buy for their friends and family. It's not a charity. We are supporting local folks. And they, like you said,
these people are living in our backyards doing these amazing things, and they're bringing their products to showcase at this market. And so being able to give back to the community, I mean, there's probably no direct example like that of a farmer's market to showcase that.
I agree. It's a beautiful thing. And these families and these farmers paying their bills because of people not just shopping, but people buying from them, and regular patrons coming and seeking them out each Sunday. I'm honored when I see the same folks coming out with their big,
like
bags,
totes ready to go,
their insulated bags, purchasing. I always ask the vendors how their day is going and, how the sales are today. And, nothing makes my heart sing more when they say, Lindsey, I'm almost sold out.
Yeah. The market just started.
I know. Exactly. We do have people coming in early, and I think that's a brilliant thing. And so I think more people and patrons are understanding the importance of supporting these farmers. And growers and bakers and makers, and we just continue to get vendors who are more and more talented every year, where I get giddy when someone's so cool and so talented.
Like,
and
I can't believe I got them to come here.
Yes,
like, I can't believe they're spending their Sunday afternoon with us.
Yep, that's right.
And I think it's a testament too, like with the thinkers, dreamers, and doers. That it's all over MidCity's website. It's all part of the RCP brand, the developer behind MidCity. But I think when you have those three in mind, the thinkers, the dreamers, and the doers, every event you put on, every festival you have, every concert you do, every new venture and building that pops up. With those three things in mind, it becomes very clear what your goals are. And I think that's a testament too of what's not something that it's a overnight success 10 years in the making.
The coolest part about being executive director of MidCity is enabling people's ideas and dreams. I don't have to create the dream. I can support it.
Yeah.
And I can back it with all of our marketing power that we have at MidCity and at the camp and with RCP Companies. And then all of a sudden we're just enabling entrepreneurs. We're enabling farmers. We're enabling people to buy a bigger truck next year. We're enabling business owners to expand their shop.
Yeah.
We're enabling business owners to send their kids to college. We're enabling them to get bigger houses. I mean, it's just the most fascinating thing to me. And it's the biggest honor of all. And that comes even with our large corporate, national tenants. There are still Huntsvillians and North Alabamians working in those businesses. And I think it's layered that we have farmers next to Trader Joe's because, the one thing that you needed at the farmer's market, you can pop over there and grab on your way home, or get the yogurt that you needed, or whatever it may be. And the same with REI. We've got great local folks that are knowledgeable about all the things that are happening in nature and in wildlife and in supporting Nature Conservancy right next to the farmer's market. So while big districts like MidCity can come across as corporate, it's a fantastic way to layer in all the reasons why you and your family might come out.
Yeah.
You needed to come get a kayak. We're not selling kayaks at the farmer's market.
Yeah.
So
you swung into the farmer's market and you experienced.
That's right.
Oh, I did need some new eggs, or I really do want some fresh fruit, or I forgot this was in season. Now I can get this.
No question.
And then, like I said, those layers that there's not many places, and there's nothing like it in Huntsville for sure, that MidCity, you can have that one-stop shop.
Right.
We had Brian Manley on earlier, and he talked just about, the idea that people in the next few years, even right now, they'll never have to leave MidCity.
Right.
They never have to get in their car. They won't have to drive. A lot of them potentially will work in a co-working space like the one we're recording this podcast in right now. They'll work from home on their laptop. They'll go to concerts at the Orion and at the camp. They'll get the groceries at Trader Joe's, and then they'll shop and hang out. And their friends will come visit them here instead of them doing the opposite. And I think that it's a incredibly unique thing, and there's not many things like it. Obviously, your role is continuing to develop and change over the years. What you were doing in 2017 and the red dirt of the camp is not necessarily what you're doing today, but
that's right.
There is some overlap. What does 2024, as we record this in April, look like, and what does the future look like for your role as executive director here at MidCity?
More filling in of blocks, more completion of construction projects, more people moving in, growth, more creativity, more murals. More food. Can't wait for more food to be moving in. We'll have more restaurants. Even one opening this weekend.
Can't wait.
So it's just an evolving organism, and it's so cool to continue to. But people, even my family who live elsewhere, they're like, "What exactly do you do?" And I'm like, I basically give a heartbeat to a district, a small city. I'm a mini mayor.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun because, again, we're enabling people. We're enabling dreams to come true, and through small business and large business and hiring and people moving into a district like this. I'll never forget living in Houston for 10 years. And I'd get home on Friday and I wouldn't touch my car until Monday. Even in a city where everyone drives in Houston and it's known for its horrendous traffic, there's ways to curate your life. And MidCity is one of those places where you can curate that, where you can
never have to leave.
That's right.
You leave your car plugged in. You don't even have to get. The moment when you don't realize if you have gas and you don't know how much gas you have is when you realize you haven't had to leave in a long time.
That's right.
And we're not far from that. I mean, as we're sitting in the Metronome recording this, I mean, people are living here.
Yep.
People are working from home here. People are coming out of the co-working spaces. We're recording this to work for their day.
That's right.
Things are happening, and I think what's from my perspective, the most unique thing and one of the coolest things I get to see is the passion that you have for the job you do. And the passion that everyone I think that we've talked to has, the passion that RCP, the people that work at RCP have for MidCity, the people that the people that work at MidCity and their passion for MidCity.
Right.
I mean, I think that is a testament just to what's being done here and the growth it's going to have. But I appreciate you taking the last little bit talking about your role here as executive director of MidCity and kind of the beginning of the camp and everything in between. But I appreciate it.
I'm thrilled, and more to come. And we just want to encourage people to follow what's going on always. And we're going to always be working on more community endeavors, more connecting to the community. More walkability within this area. You know, it's very car centric out in this west side over here. So more walkability to UAH and Cummings Research Park. And so a lot more to come. And we're excited to have people follow. Yeah.
We'll have all the links to Instagram and Facebook for MidCity and the camp, links to RCP and links to MidCity's website. And anything else that you might want to find out more information about, if you're listening to this or watching this, you can find out more information in the notes below. But I appreciate it.
Thanks, Clark.
Thank you.